Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the $20 build video. I don't even think that we need an introduction to it. We went to Menards and we got all the materials that we need, and now we're going to put it together for you. So let's get into it. With this being a simple build, the way that it's going, we need very minimal tools. Like we said, we had $20. We're going to have scissors, a ruler, a yardstick, or a meter stick, whichever you have, Sharpie, and a pen. This is all you need to build a basic sword ready for game day in one night. Here we have all the materials that we bought. I cut the PVC down to 23 inches. The longer piece of driveway marker is cut to 16 inches. And these two little guys right here, don't worry about those little guys, are cut to 7 1/4 a piece. We also have our advanced strength duct tape, our black duct tape, our jute, and our 6-foot piece of pipe insulation. So our first step in building this core is going to be fitting the driveway marker pieces that we had cut to the actual core itself, because this is going to fit inside of here for stability. We have to set some tape rings on here, one at the top, one at the bottom, and one right in the center. This one's going to take some figuring out and some finagling. Once you figure out how long the strip of tape's got to be to wrap around this to fit in here, it gets pretty simple. So set the tape right on the edge there, like so. And you don't want to wrench on it as you lay it down. You're going to cause it to stretch. Then when it starts to come back, it's going to become warped. We don't want that. Just nice, tight lay. Try to make it so that you're not raveling it up or raveling it down. You want to try and keep it as much on top of itself as possible. So, coming back to it, after some trial and error, I found out that 13 inches is about what we want. And when we're sliding tape rings, because of how tape is, it can get caught on the edge of the PVC after you cut it. Sure. So we're going to use the non-hacksaw cut side 13-inch tape ring. It's going to fit gently, gently. And it's going to be snug, but it's going to fit. Now, we're going to put an additional 13-inch tape ring on the bottom and a 13-inch tape ring right in the center, giving you 3 total rings. That's what's going to give us the rigidity throughout this entire sword. Keeps it alive for many, many years to come. So, now we have our tape rings. We're going to push that in. Okay, be careful on the fit. You don't want to crush it. You got to fit it nice and gently. So through more trial and error, what we've come to find out is sometimes you have to literally take this piece of PVC and pound it really hard on the ground. There's a lot of friction between this tape and this PVC, and it's got to go on. So I'm going to finish this, putting this in, and then we will come back. Okay, and we're back. So I pounded it in, like I was saying. Driveway marker you can see is right there. 13-inch duct tape ring around it, pounded in. Now, that is not going to go anywhere. We just took this sword and made it so it's not going to bend all that much, and it is going to last for a few more years to come. What's next? Well, we're going to add a little something something to the handle to give it some girth so you can grip it. This is where your 7 1/4 pieces come from. But you want to have a few pieces of tape ready. Rip them in half the long way. We're going to take one. Put it together flush right at the bottom. Take a piece of tape. Tape it to the blade. If you can, line it up with the print that is already on the PVC. This doesn't twist around the PVC itself. This is a pretty straight printing on there. So let's take this. We're going to follow this as straight as we can through there. Take our second piece of tape. Secure that down. You want to try and take it and make it as even as you can. It will move a little bit before you get it fully taped and secured down, and that's okay, because we want to try and figure it out. You want it to be this as evenly matched up as this side back here. You don't want it to be twisty. So since it looks good down there, we're going to take another piece, tape them both. So this side is not even. So I've lined this up with the print. I'm going to stand it up and try to line it up as best I can the other side. That looks pretty okay to me. Right there. Take your tape, put it down. There's still a little bit of wiggle, but that's okay. This is where we want it to be. One more piece of tape, nice and tight, right here. Okay. One more piece of tape up here. Just to be sure everything is together. So just understand, 16-inch piece of driveway marker through tape rings up to it's about here. 2 pieces of driveway marker cut at 7 1/4 inch right here. And the reason why it's cut at this length is because we're going to take about the last inch here and put the pommel on, which is our next step. The short sword is 30 inches in length in total. However, I don't know how much to add or not add to the end until I figure out where this part is going to end. So we're going to go right into the pommel. I'm going to measure 1 inch up, just like so. Now we're going to get into our black foam. We don't need a lot. I'm going to cut off just a small chunk to start with, and then another longer small chunk. This is going to come later. We're going to take this piece right here, split it down the middle, figure out about how wide this needs to be. Okay, about right there. We're just going to cut a small chunk like so. Remember, then we're going to cut another chunk that same size. Duct tape both of these ends together. Tape it around. So you want to have tape on both sides. Longer piece of tape here, rip it in half. You're not going to use this whole thing. We'll just do that like so. Piece down, one piece down, like so. Fold that piece of tape up, fold that piece of tape up. Now, that's not going to hold, as you can see. We're going to take our other piece like this, back on, tape this piece down to the core. That's the important part. Once you get that done, and all of this is sitting here, we're going to take our longer piece like so, and we're going to tape it around this way. Okay. Remember the 1 inch line that we have? You can barely see it right there. So we're going to take our chunk from before, split it in half, okay? And we're going to say, okay, from that line to the bottom is about where we're going to cut it. So, figure, okay, just like so. Do a little mark right there. And then, because I want to be careful, and you're doing the opposite, right? That mark there, same side. You're going to measure that way. That mark right there. Now what I did was, I have 2 spots, a cut there and a cut there. And now I'm just going to take my scissors and cut to make a generally straight line. We're going to take this here, set it down. Take a little piece of tape. Tape that down. Then you're going to wrap this around until you get about back to where you were. I'm going to cut it right there. Okay? I don't like it to be blocky by any means. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bevel this edge. Cut that around like so. And this is going to make it look far nicer. Take another piece of tape and just tape it. This is what's going to make up our pommel right there. Take a piece like so, put it on, kind of crunch it down. Another piece like so, put it on, and then crunch it down. Take more of our half-cut pieces, and we're just going to clean that up a little bit. I want to put the tip together. So 6 inches is generally what we do. You're going to have 3 inches coming out and 3 inches in. We have to fit it so it is exactly to the inside of this. We take our tape, place it on there like so. And you are going to wrap it the long way. You're just going to roll it up. And adding one more layer of duct tape is going to add strength to the foam itself, because where this is going to be hit right in the center, it's going to break down. So we're going to put just like so, press and roll, kind of like you're rolling out dough. There. Now let's try and fit it into here. And look at that, I was right, it's too big. We cut our strip too big. So we're going to pick a corner. Any corner will do. You can generally see where that corner is, and we're just going to cut a little bit off. Remember, you're not trying to kill it. You're not cutting it in half. You're just taking off a little chunk of the foam. We're going to add another piece of tape. Now this is one of those trial and error spots where sometimes you got to cut it and fit it and cut it and fit it. And that's okay, because this is about halfway up. So it's going to look like that if you were to look at all the components together. When you go to put this in, you're going to have it, pinch it, slide it in there, okay? And it's not going to slide down perfectly, okay? It's going to crunch and scrunch. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to employ a twist and push. Twist and push. See what that line is? Twist and push. So we're going to twist and push until we get just inside of there. And then just untwist it a little bit right there. Perfect. Small piece of tape, enough to wrap around the entirety of it, because this part of the sword is going to have too much tape. If you have too much tape, cut it off. You want it to be just enough to cover over that next layer. You don't want too much up here, because too much tape is going to leverage the sword, and it's going to be very tip heavy, and it could potentially hurt somebody if you put too much tape there. Take one of our smaller pieces, clean this up just a little bit. I'm going to overlap it onto the PVC just a pinch, not too much, just enough to cover it, and just enough to go all the way around to that front side. Cut off the excess, press it down, press, press, press. Now that's looking better.